Welcome to SHIFTology Live, the art and science of intentional, intuitive, and impactful change. I'm your host, Terry Wildemann, and I'm an intuitive success navigator, a speaker, a trainer, and founder of Intuitive Leadership. SHIFTology Live offers interviews of influential entrepreneurs who have shifted in their own lives to create the success that they seek. Some episodes, it's just yours truly, flying solo, offering insights on topics that guide you in harmonizing the spiritual, personal, and practical sides of business. My desire is to guide you, the entrepreneurial leader, to shift from where you are now to where you really want to be so that you can awaken the possibilities to attract limitless prosperity in your business and in your life. Today, I am so excited to bring you a great guest, someone who I've known just since 2012, that will be sharing with you how your story is truly a gift to how you influence others in your work and life. It's especially important if you desire to write or do podcasts. Multi-international bestseller, publisher, and speaker, Peggy Lee Hanson, aka your divinely sent book whisperer, I love that, is a book writing and publishing expert. She knows and shows individuals how to easily and effortlessly and efficiently, say that 3 times fast, to write a book using templates and guides. She's been in this business for 30 years, and she has certifications in business ghostwriting and coaching, and she's truly committed to working with leaders. And she's guided hundreds of experienced writers, as well as those of us who tend to be a bit tepid. After 2 solo books and 7 co-authored books, I still get that tepid feeling, Peggy Lee. So she is her first international speaking engagement. She shared House to, which initiated the following quip from Paul Dunn, who is a social entrepreneur and 3-time TEDx speaker. Peggy Lee took an impossible speaking environment and turned it around, leaving a very satisfied audience. Welcome to the show, Peggy Lee Hanson.
Thank you so much, my dear friend Terry. Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Well, I'm thrilled because you are the first guest in this expanded podcast. We used to do the little snippets, and now we're going into a little bit heavier duty, more involved podcast to give more information and in a little bit longer time format. So I'm just absolutely thrilled that you're here because I know that you have so much to offer. Now, Peggy Lee, one of the things that I know about you is that you were in the corporate world for 20 years. So it's a big shift to get out of corporate to get into entrepreneurship. What was the intuitive hit? What was the trigger that shifted you out of that arena into what it is you're doing now?
Oh my gosh. The intuitive hit. Let me tell you, it was after 9/11, of course, 2001. And things were just not the same in the airline industry as it once was, probably in any industry as it was. And around 2005, 2006, things started happening with the economy, and it started to dawn on me that things were not going to be changed, or things were not going to be remaining the same, and that there was a big change that was occurring. And I don't know if anybody else felt it at that time, but I did. And around a couple years later, I'd say, well, I was 49 years old, and I was sitting at my desk, and I did not want to be here when I was 55 years old. I did not want to have to drive around, or I did not want to have to commute, 80 miles a day to a job. I wanted to be at home I wanted to have a business where I could work out of my home, to be successful at. And I just sat at my desk that day and just wrote out a list. I had no idea about the power of the universe to make that list just start jumping off the page. And 3 years later, after I wrote that initial list at age 52, I found out that I was going to be released from the airline, and I got what I wanted. Everything on that list became true for me.
Wow.
And so that was the beginning of that shift. And so once I started, with that, realizing that I got what I wanted, it was just like, okay, so now what am I going to do?
Yeah. Law of attraction is an amazing thing. It works 24/7. I love it when people say to me, "Oh, law of attraction doesn't work for me." Yeah, it is right now. You don't want it to work for you. So absolutely, you're absolutely right. And they look at me like I've got 3 heads on my shoulders. I'm like, it's energy. You're the, it's a genie in the bottle. Ask and it is given. So if you say that law of attraction doesn't work for me, that's what you're going to get. And you basically, not even knowing what law of attraction was all about, just wrote it all out, understanding that it was an intention, and you got everything that you wanted. What a miraculous, wonderful story that is. And I bet you've written about it.
I have written about it.
I know.
And it is one subject that I talk about most often, because a lot of people in the corporate world, especially even today, can't imagine what it would be like to let go of that paycheck, let go of that vacation time, let go of that security. Yes. But one thing that I kind of realized, even in corporate, I was not secure, because the day actually happened that came and said, bye. Yeah. That wasn't security anymore.
Yeah. It really is about making your own security. It really, really is. And it's really important that we do that in all facets of our lives. We're the one, it's all about us. It's all about us being able to do these things. And one thing I know that you empower people to do is you help them with writing. How did you get involved with writing, especially when folks say to you something like, I don't like writing, but I know that there's a book inside of me, but I hate to write. I have a story to tell you about that, by the way, Peggy Lee, that I don't think you know about.
Oh, I'd love to hear that one. So do you want me to go first, or you want to tell your story first?
I'll tell you later. I'll tell you the story later.
All right. So yes, once I got into the entrepreneur world and really learned where I needed to be, what I wanted to be, what was given to me. And when I say that I am the divinely sent, the divine has been sending me messages all along to help me along my way. My company is Courageous Women Publications. And that was given to me divinely one day in the shower, where I can't go anywhere else but be in that closed space.
Yep, I call that SHIFTology.
It's a very powerful moment, and I get that up in the air too when I'm on a plane, and any space that I'm inside where I can't do anything else. I don't have to worry about any housework. I don't have to worry about creating any programs, or deliver anything. I'm right there in this container, and I just get these waves of ideas, again, given to me. And that's where divinely sent comes in to play. And stories are really important. And I know that they can change lives. Stories have been around and shared for, billions of years. It's how we have learned. It's how we have grown to where we are now today as a people. And we get them from all different sources. And I'm a firm believer that stories must be shared, because we are first here to experience. We are put on this earth to experience. Then we are to learn from those experiences.
Yeah.
And then the next thing that we are called to do, I truly believe this in my heart, we are here to teach what we've learned from those experiences. And by that, we can help others shift into that next space that they need to be.
Yeah. Well, this is a perfect segue to the story. I won't keep you waiting. In 2012, maybe 13, maybe a little bit later than that, I was speaking at this event, and I was asked by the event planner if I would go and pick up these books that were going to be delivered, handed out to the audience. And she said, "Oh, it's about 20 minutes from you." That I'm like, "Great." I found out that it was 3 minutes from me. And I walked in, and it was really interesting. There were all these book covers on the wall. And this person was in the telecommunications industry. So he was an author, a publisher, I should say, in the telecommunications industry. And I realized that he didn't have a book on telephone etiquette. And I, at that time, was teaching a lot about personal presence and etiquette and dress for success and blah, blah, all that good stuff. Because as a certified image consultant 35 years ago, that's what's the foundation of all my personal professional development. And he looked at me, and I kid you not, he says, "Would you like to write a book on telephone etiquette?" And about 3 hours after I walked in the door, I walked out with the book contract. And I got behind the wheel of the car. I remember putting my hands on the wheel and screaming at the top of my lungs because I was scared to death. I was like, how did this happen? Talk about law of attraction. How did this happen? And it complements what you were talking about with law of attraction. And I remember walking in the door and saying to my husband, "I just got a book contract." And he's looking at me like I have 3 heads on my shoulders. Like, where did you get a book contract? And now 2 solo books and 7 co-authored books later, it's there. But I'm going to tell you, Peggy Lee, I still don't like to write. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about people who don't like to write, yet they write books. Talk to me about that.
They do. And a lot of it is because that they are called to write the book. And it's like the crazy painters. They have to paint to get all that energy out. Yeah. It's the same thing with writers and authors, is that they have to get all these characters and people out of their head, or instances, circumstances, whatever it is, whatever type of book that you are writing, it becomes the clamor is so loud in their head that they have to get it out. And the only way that they can do it is through the writing process. And for some, as you say, it comes easy. And for others, it comes a little bit harder. And others really don't want to approach it at all. So when you have a formula that you can follow and take in at bite-sized pieces, it makes the writing process a heck of a lot easier.
Because we're talking about law of attraction, divinely guided, I'm feeling, I just got given this little image. As you know, I'm all about intuition. When I was writing the book, like I said, I was incredibly scared. It was 2007. I'll tell you why, because I was studying to be a Reiki master. And I went to one of my sessions, and there were 12 professional women. We were all studying Reiki. And I was saying how scared I was with this book. And one of the women said, "Terry, why don't you ask for a writing guide?" And I got in the car and I asked for a writing guide. And my guide, Audra, showed up. I could feel her, sense her. And I would wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning while the household was asleep. And I would sit at my computer and put my hands on the keyboard, and the words just flowed. And I remember coming out of meditation, looking at what I wrote, going, "Hey, that's good. Thank you." And let me the book was called 1-800-Courtesy, Connecting with the Winning Telephone Image. It's a book on telephone skills, for crying out loud. Okay. So if that can happen for a book on telephone skills,
Mhm.
and I'm sharing that with the audience because Peggy Lee, I know you. Use this story to get people to tap into their intuition and meditate and allow it to come through their fingers. Because if I can do it, and at that time I wasn't as tuned in and tapped in as I am now, anybody can do it, I swear.
And actually, Terry, that is a great story. And yes, thank you. I will use it because it is one of the methods that I share about how to tap into your writing is that you stick your fingers. A lot of people say, you got to use the pen and paper. That is the only way to get the purest form. And it's just like, no. That's a belief that stops a lot of people from writing because, well, I don't like to write. My handwriting isn't good. So that immediately puts up a block. And we
Yes,
don't
it
want any
does.
blocks to happen with your writing. So I teach and share different ways of, and I just wrote an article yesterday about the different methods because the topic came up again. It's just one that
Nice.
does. And one of them is just to put your fingers on the keyboard, laptop, whatever. And just, you can close your eyes, you can keep them open, but then just start typing and see what comes out. And you can have a conversation with your spirit guides as well. And there's a method on how to do that so that you can get into a space of having a question and answer session with your guides or your spirit or God or whoever that is that you want to talk to, even with perhaps a relative that's gone into the different world. You can have a conversation with that just by simply, using your fingers on the keyboard. Or, I've also now, because of the devices that are out there, I sit with my phone. I'm on my phone all the time. Well, most of the time. But there's just some times where I just don't want to get on my computer because the computer is big and clunky and it's not very pretty, to be on. But with my phone, it just brings another energy. And when I get into my notes app and I just start writing, using my QWERTY board, and it's just like everything comes out. And it's a way to get close to my intuition, my angels, my guides as well, to get what the word is out that I want to share with people.
So when
there's
you
all
use your
different things.
phone, I'm curious, when you use your phone, what software do you use on your phone?
Just the notes app that comes with the phone. I have an Android.
Oh, okay, so do I. Yeah, so do I.
So there's just a notes app that came with it that was on there. And so I do
just
like
talk into it?
Either I talk into it or I, type into it, using my finger and using the keyboard, to create the content. So you can do it either way, whichever is best. And that's another good point because people say, well, I talk better than I write. So you can do that same thing with your phone and talk into your phone. And if you have Microsoft Word, they have the ability to, speak to text now with the latest software. And I'm sure,
I didn't know that. Okay.
Mac
That's
probably
educated me.
has apps with that
It
too,
does.
but check that out because that is really important because we need to hear what you have to say. Someone is waiting to hear your brilliance, your thoughts, your wisdom, your shiftology, your ideas. So don't make them wait any longer. And that's my mantra lately is someone is waiting to hear what you have to say. Don't make them wait any longer.
So Peggy Lee, what is it about what is your earliest memory, recollection of writing?
What comes up for me, my earliest recollection is being in middle school, 7th, 8th grade, something like that, and writing a love song to a boy that didn't even know I was alive.
Wow, how cool is that?
That's my first memory of writing something.
And when you think of that memory, how's it make you feel?
Um, Boy, I don't know. Nobody's asked that question. Um, it's interesting because if I would have kept it up, what would have happened had I kept it up? But it did start me on the path of writing other things and being more open to writing, because I'll tell you, shh, don't tell my mother. She's still alive. Don't tell my mother. Um, but like about that same time, that same age, I wrote a dirty book in a notebook that I had, and I know that I tore it up a long time ago and threw it away, but it was like, my 14-year-old self, finding out about the facts of life, and it was just
Wow.
like, it was something else. So that was the very first book, unpublished, and it will remain unpublished because it's now ripped up. And
Mm-hmm.
but that was the first thing that I wrote, and
That is a riot.
you know, so you just never know.
No,
And then
you're
I let
talking.
it go, you know.
So tell me about your very first book outside of that one.
Yeah. The one that I published. Well, my very first book is I wrote with my writing mentor, and she still is my writing mentor to this day, Donna Kozik.
Nice. Oh,
And
Donna, yes.
yes. And so after I left corporate, I looked for someone to help me write a book. And um, eventually I found her, and she was doing one of her very first write a book on a weekends
Mm,
events. And
yes,
people, let me tell you, if you don't think you can write a book in a weekend,
you can.
shift, because you can, most definitely. It
Big
doesn't
plug
have
for
to be
Donna.
it doesn't have to be war and peace, like Donna has said, and it just has to be something, that you want to get out there. And my book is 84 pages, and it was called 50 something, The Unknown Dreams and Paths.
Oh, how
And it's
cool is
book
that? Can you hold
one.
it up? Hold it up. Hold it up. Let's see the cover.
Can you
There
see it
you
more?
go.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Oh, cool. Very nice. Okay.
So I published it on Lulu. It's available on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a quick read, and it just has some of my thoughts about leaving the corporate world, and it has some of my poetry in there. And it's very simple, but it's my story, short story, the short
Nice.
version of
Yeah.
leaving corporate, and you know what's going to happen next, because I wasn't really sure, but I just knew that I
Understood.
wanted to write a book. So that was my
So,
very first book. And it got me on stage.
well, there you go. That's what I was just going to say. Books are like business cards. They're brilliant. They open doors for you. So I'm curious, Peggy, like who is your ideal client, and what is your favorite genre to work with?
Oh man.
Oh,
Um my ideal client, the person who really wants to tell their story, and they don't know exactly how to do that, but they just know that they have to. They have that nudge that's coming, and it won't leave them alone.
mm,
And it has to come out in one way or another. And also, for the person who doesn't necessarily need to write an entire book, I have a series that I created called Courage Under Siege, which is an
ah,
anthology type of series where I'm booking for volume 7 right now for people to tell their story, not in a
nice.
whole book that they have to write, but in a chapter.
In a
And
chapter.
they can,
Right.
in a chapter. And I lead them the way through how to write that and how to get that in, easily, effortlessly, and efficiently
Very
by
nice.
using
Very, very
5
nice.
elements. Yeah.
Very, very cool. So, is there a genre that you like more than another?
Um, As far as the person goes, or
Or
genre, well, because I am true stories. I like to work with
there you
people
go.
that have um, they have something to share, the life story type of bit,
There you go.
something that will help another person uh, be better, or not to experience the same pain that this person
Right.
has.
Okay. The reason I'm asking that question is your ideal client, then it's not so much mystery writing or romance or that kind of thing. Your genre is really all about self-help and self-storytelling.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to get clear
Yes.
on that. So we bring
Okay.
you the right people.
Yeah.
We bring you the right people.
Thank you.
Absolutely brilliant. Well, which is your absolute favorite of all the books that you've done? How many books have you done already?
Oh my gosh. I've published for other authors somewhere around maybe 15 books.
Nice. Okay.
I've contributed to other books around 15, 17 books. So I'm like
Okay.
at the 40, 50 mark
Wow, that's
or
pretty cool.
so.
That is really
And
cool.
yeah, so I've probably
Okay.
published, like, helped over 100 authors, get their stories of wisdom, expertise, their strategies out, their systems out.
Nice.
And yeah,
Very,
so
very nice.
it's been a lot of fun. And
Nice.
lately I've been working with a few 80-year-olds
How
that they
cool is
want to
that?
get their story out before they leave. They have something to say that they want to say. And, some
That's
of the
remarkable.
messages are, do what you want to do. And because if you're not allowed to do what you want to do, and with your ideas and live your life, then you're going to be, it's going to choke you for the
Yeah,
rest of your life.
it will. And as a holistic practitioner, I can tell you that a lot of folks that I work with who either feel invisible or that kind of thing, that choking piece is a big deal. And we clear out those trapped emotions out of there so that they can speak their truth, whether it's verbally or in writing. So you are absolutely spot on. It is so important to be able to honor that. And thank you for sharing that. Now, at the bottom of the screen, I am sharing with everyone your free gift. Can you tell us all about it?
I certainly will. The free chapter writing guide is based on the 5 elements that I share with my anthology authors about how to write a very robust chapter. And since then, I have created 5 trainings around that 5 elements. And so I teach that more so in a webinars. I did one in May that was a huge success, where people have used the method. And in 30 days time, one woman said that when she used the formula that's inside the chapter writing guide, is that she created a chapter for another book, and she wrote 3 more articles that she was
Nice.
going to share, all within 30 days. So,
That's
and a
cool.
lot of my people too that work with me on their books, they'll say, how can I write 3,000 words in a month? It can't be done. But with the formula inside this free chapter writing guide, they can do it, and they are surprised at what they accomplished. And
Very
it
nice.
just makes them feel supported and acknowledged, and they also show to themselves what they can do.
Very, very cool. Peggy Lee, you are truly a gift to the writing industry and a gift to the world, because when you can bring out these amazing stories that people have within them, and they're being propped and they're being pushed, and their guides are saying, get it out there, get it out there. It's a blessing to have you in our world. And I want to thank you so much for being here today and sharing your amazing story with the SHIFTology live audience. So folks, get down below, get the free chapter writing guide from Peggy Lee. Oh, Peggy Lee, where else can people find you?
They can find me at PeggyLee Hanson all over social media. That's my handle on Facebook, Instagram. I live between LinkedIn and Facebook. And if you want to talk to me about writing a book, just go to bookwithpeggylee.com. And there's another site where we can actually have a one-on-one conversation.
Excellent, excellent. And if you would like to know more, whoops, there goes the bells. And if you would like to learn a little bit more about what it is that we're doing, please join the Limitless Prosperity Facebook group at Attract Limitless Prosperity on Facebook. I just got stuck there because never mind. Thank you, everybody, and we look forward to seeing you on our next episode. To your success. See you next time.